Normally, when we talk about reincarnation, we are thinking about someone who is in their physical body and then they die and then they might stay in the spiritual plane for a while and then reincarnate. When we talk about insects, this doesn't happen because they don't have an astral body, which is the spiritual body that we are talking about when we talk about reincarnation. So what does happen when an insect dies? Well, as I said, normally people and animals, big animals, mammals, birds, when they die, when we die, we go to the spiritual plane as spirits. It doesn't matter what plane we go, but we go to a spiritual plane. We stay there and eventually we might reincarnate. Some of us reincarnate elsewhere, some of us reincarnate on Earth. Animals reincarnate here, animals reincarnate in other planets. But essentially, when they are ready to reincarnate, their astral bodies are connected to their to the eggs and sperm of their parents. It's connected to those cells in the womb or in the eggs, right? So we are talking about a process, a complex process, which is simple actually, but it's complex in that spirit is going to be connected to an egg and it's gonna become that egg. It's gonna embody the egg or embody those cells who are going to form an embryo. Why do we reincarnate like that? Because we have what is called the astral body. The astral body is, as I said, a spiritual body. So let's just briefly talk about the bodies that we have, the spiritual bodies that we have, and why we reincarnate in one way and insects in another way. So we have the physical body, which is the body that we here know in the physical plane. We have the astral body, which is the same body, but in the astral plane. That's the body that we have, and that looks exactly like, you know, the ones we have now. We also have a mental body. We have a Christic and Buddhic body, and we have an Atma. The Atma is the particle of God that we are always forever going to be. We are the Atma, right? What happens is that all of the other bodies that we have serve as a vehicle for another body. So for instance, our physical body is the vehicle of the astral body, so that the astral body can experience life on planet Earth, right? So we say that the physical body is the vehicle of the astral body. The astral body is then the vehicle of the mental body, right? So that means that the mental body can experience life or its existence in the astral plane, right? And then we have the Buddhic body. The Buddhic body is then a passenger in the mental body, and the Christic body is the passenger in the Buddhic body, and it goes like that, right? So now we understand that the Atma, right, which is this divine particle, right, the part of God that divided to form us, the monad, right? So the Atma is what we really are, and we are always going to be the Atma. The other ones, right, are gonna change eventually. So we change our physical bodies when we reincarnate. We change our astral bodies whenever we reincarnate. We acquire a new figure, a new look, right? And obviously we have a different vibration, a different frequency, right? We change our mental bodies as well. The other bodies are not going to change because they are spiritual bodies, but what we always going to be is the Atma, right? The only people or the only beings in the, let's say the planet, I don't want to talk about the universe, but normally it goes like that. The only beings that are bearers or the beings who are Atmans are those individualized beings, which means that they are not part of what we call a group spirit, right? A collective spirit. We don't live in collectivity, and our spiritual reality is not conditioned to a group of spirits, right? So humans, for instance, or dogs or whales, we are animals who are individualized. We have an Atma. We are always going to be ourselves. It doesn't matter if we have a group of spirits around us. We are initiating our journey, evolving on our own. So remember, we have an Atman because we are individuals. So we have bodies carrying another body, right? Serving as vehicle for another body, right? So whales, they have their physical body and they have their astral bodies as well, and they have their atma, right? So when we have a group of flies or a group of ants, or a colony of insects, we don't have atmas in there. So if you have 500 ants, you don't have 500 atmas. What you have is a collective soul. So you have a collectivity of ethers, complex fluids, right, that animate those animals and conserve them, right? So they don't have an astral body, which means that if one of the ants die, they are not gonna reincarnate. So that particular ant or that particular fly, that particular bug, is not gonna reincarnate, right, in another one. So that little soul is not going to go to, be implanted in a little egg. It's not going to happen. What happens is that particular energy surrounding the ant is going to go back to the group. If you kill all of those ants, or if they die, those energies are gonna go back to insects in the region, right? Even if they don't have anything else in the region, if you get the 500 ants and you bring them elsewhere, far away, they're gonna still, upon dying, those ethers, the energy, the light around them, the complex movement of ethers around them are gonna migrate to the local insects or the closest to them, especially ants, but it's gonna go back to the environment. After many lives, let's say like that, ants and every other insect, remember, they don't have an atma, so they don't have those bodies that serve as vehicle for the atma and for the other bodies. They have their physical bodies and they have the etheric body. All of us have an etheric body. The etheric body is actually a layer of energy in between the astral body and the physical body. So this layer of energy is a body that not only glues these two bodies all together, but it also serves as a bridge for the astral body to send messages to the physical body. So the physical body can be formed in that way that the astral body is. And also it serves as a bridge from the physical body to send messages to the astral body, right? When we talk about chakras, we are mostly talking about this body, the etheric body. We do have chakras in the astral body, but most of the energy we talk about when we say, oh, I'm gonna cleanse my chakras, I'm gonna do something about my chakras, I'm gonna visualize my chakras, I'm gonna move my energy, I'm gonna use Reiki. We are talking about the etheric body, right? It's the energy, right? So it's a semi-physical body that lies in between physical bodies and astral bodies. So bugs, insects, ants, etc., they have a physical body and they have this etheric body, which is not a complex spiritual body, but it's already something complex enough to give them properties of a living being, right? Trees, plants, they also do have an etheric body, okay? So as they are group spirits, many bugs, even those bugs or insects who live on their own, apparently, they are still part of a group of spirits, right? So if you get like a single lonely spider in the forest, actually that spider is part of a collectivity of spiders. When one spider dies, that particular energy, let's call it energy, and group of information of that spider is gonna migrate back to the other spiders and make them richer, etherically speaking. That particular aura of these insects, right, this etheric aura, is quite complex, as I said. And I say complex because everything here in the physical world has an aura, right? If you get like a piece of rock, a piece of wood, they have their auras, right? But an insect has a different aura. It's more complex because it's organized in a way that gives that animal some spiritual property, right? Which means that that spirit is transforming its essence. Going back to the spider is gonna go back as energy back to the other spiders. So then that energy is gonna bring to the rest of those spiders all of the information, all of the experience that that particular spider had. It's not gonna bring any memory. So insects, they do not have memory or imprint memory on their auras, in their energy, but they have information, the information of what kind of experience they had. Subsequently, when these insects are migrating back to the environment to, let's say, animate other insects, those energies, right, and the auras of that group of insects is evolved enough, complex enough, and rich enough, that energy starts migrating to small animals who are individualized, right? So those energies from the group of insects, they are full of experience, they are full of information, and they are already some sort of energy that experienced life as an animal, as instinct, right? So those energy goes to those little small animals who are already individualized. So we are talking about reptiles, we're talking about mammals, we're talking about birds. That energy is gonna help form their bodies, their etheric bodies and their astral bodies, right? So they don't start from nothing. They start, and then as they are the Atman, they have these bodies helping them here in the physical world and in the semi-physical planes, right? So you have, again, a group of ants, and that group of ants, let's say that they are no longer gonna reincarnate as ants, as I said, they don't reincarnate, but let's say they're no longer gonna be ants. That group is rich enough, so that energy is gonna go to let's say a little bird. I'm not saying that ants reincarnate as little birds. I'm saying that the energy goes back to the environment, to the closest group of animals. They are higher in the hierarchy, right? So then that particular energy helps form the etheric bodies of small animals and their astral bodies as well. Little birds and little animals, small mice and things like that. In the wilderness, right? They are animals who live in collectivity, and their souls, although they are individualized, which means that each of them, they have an atma, they are still perceived as a group spirit, which means that when they reincarnate, it's done as a group. So it's not complex. So you're not gonna get like a mouse and, you know, trace a plan for that mouse to reincarnate, or, you know, connect that particular mouse to a particular egg. So, you know, the process is very natural, and it's just made in bulk, right? Different from what happens to, let's say, a dog or an elephant or a person. But still, they are perceived as group spirits, right? Spirits who are a collective soul, but they are already individualized, right? And because they are individualized, they have obviously the Atman, right? And then they have the carriers for this Atman, you know, to experience life in many other planes. So they obviously have their prototype of mental body, because that mental body is not developed enough, but it has a prototype. It is a prototype. They have their astral body, right? Carrying, right? Working as a vehicle for the mental body, and they have the physical body working as a vehicle for the astral body. And obviously they have their etheric body, which is just a layer of energy in between the physical body and the astral body. Those animals, those small, less complex animals, they do reincarnate similar to us, which means that they die, and then they are connected naturally to an egg or, you know, cells, and then they reincarnate in here. So it's different from insects. The insects, they are normally this group of energy that goes back to the environment. So when one of them dies, when a fly dies, when you kill a fly, you kill a mosquito, that mosquito is gonna disappear. The energy of the mosquito, though, is gonna go back to the environment. It's gonna go back to the bugs around, right? They are like in a net, in this like net energy, like internet, right? It's like data is going to be sent back to the environment, and the bugs around are going to absorb that, right? So that particular mosquito is no longer going to exist, unfortunately, but the experience, which is the experience of instinct, is going to be maintained and back to the group. Because remember, we have life expressed in the physical plane in different ways. We have the mineral life, which is life, divine life, that is not experiencing instinct, but it's experiencing the environment, right? We have then plants and they are and trees. They are experiencing life not as instinct, and neither in just staying there in the environment. They're actually being active, sending signals, absorbing light, moving waters, breathing, and doing things like that. Eventually, those energies are going to migrate to insects, and those insects are going to experience instinct for the first time in life, their energy, right? Eventually, their energy is going to migrate to atomans, which means that it's going to serve as the physical body and the etheric and astral bodies for those individualized beings, and those animals will eventually grow spiritually, evolve, learn, and migrate, evolve and reincarnate into other animals, more complex individuals, more related to intellect and emotions, right? And those bodies who that were prototypes of bodies are now more developed, like is the bodies of a dog, for instance. You know, a dog has a full developed astral body and a full developed lower mental body, but they still to develop their upper mental body, and it goes like that, you know. And angels are the same thing. And angels, they have their bodies, they don't have physical bodies, but they have their mental bodies, and they have all the bodies super well developed and super well expanded and enlightened, and you know, and eventually you start dropping these other vehicles that you no longer need, because for instance, we have a physical bodies, right? And obviously we have our astral bodies. So let's say that we don't have to reincarnate here anymore. We're gonna maintain our astral bodies, right? But eventually we evolve, we grow, we get so much light, we learn so much, we expand our consciousness so much in the astral plane that we no longer need the astral plane. So that means that you don't need your astral body anymore. That vehicle served for you, for your mind, for what you are, to experience life in the astral body, right? So see how things are. It's very natural, right? For every species, for every being in the universe to like evolve and no longer need that vehicle. So yeah, the insects, they don't have these vehicles because they don't have any other bodies. What they have is their physical body and ether around them, right? So they're very similar to plants, but experiencing instinct. That's the difference in between plants and insects. Insects are very important for life on planet Earth because they donate life. They're so important energy to animals who are going to eventually evolve to be something else, and humans, right? So they're very important for nature, they're very important for humans, they're very important for all animals. Insects help balancing all of these energies, right? So make sure that you don't kill those insects for no reason. Sometimes we are the intruders, and we have to understand that destroying everything around us to protect us, it's not the right thing to do. So I'm not saying that you should allow mosquitoes to bite you. What I'm saying is that do what is enough doing. Don't do more than that. Don't try to destroy everything around you. Insects are very important. Sometimes, as I said, we are the intruders. So when you have also insects in your house, when you have like infestations, right? I'm not talking about one or two insects. I'm talking about an infestation. There's a reason for that infestation to be happening. There's another video here in my channel where I talk about why infestations happen in your house and how to get rid of them without killing animals. It's all about the energy. It's all about what you think and what you feel. And, and I'm going to talk about other insects in the future. But, make sure that you understand that when there's an infestation, there's a reason for that, right? Nature is trying to balance out everything. So don't be too harsh on insects unless, again, they are attacking you. But if not, just let nature be.